He is a Grammy Award-winning artist. He is an incredible actor. He is one of the stars of Crash and is nominated for a bunch of awards for Crash and actually won as part of an ensemble. He's an incredible actor and he is a philanthropist. He is a restaurant owner. Do you ever sleep?
I don't.
He doesn't. Okay. Chris Ludacris Bridges, thanks so much. It's such a serious issue, but can you talk about how this film woke people up when it was first released?
I feel like the film woke a lot of people up because during that year, there was a lot of independent movies that were out. A lot of people, you know, you don't understand that when the movie making process has a lot to do with individuals like writing a script and then trying to wait for a major producer or a major company to green light it for you to start shooting it. This was a year where a lot of people just kind of took matters into their own hands. It's almost, and it's crazy because it's so similar to how the music industry is, where, you know, when you make independent albums and you pay for stuff on your own and then you go shop it to a major producer like a Warner Brothers or a Paramount. And this was a year where a lot of different independent stuff, people were like, I'm gonna do this on my own and do it the way that I want to do it so that nobody can regulate, hold me up, tell me what I need to do, try to make changes to the script. And with that being said, it was a great script. And I just feel like, you know, the whole Crash experience was great, period. You know what I mean? And that's why it won a lot of the independent movie awards and things like that.
For it to get that kind of recognition because it was bought at the Toronto Film Festival.
Exactly.
And it's the first one ever to be bought at a film festival to win the Best Picture Oscar. So if any of you are filmmakers, that's something to think about. Now, this movie was released over 5 years ago. Obviously, since that time, we have elected our first African-American president. A huge stride. How far have we come as a nation? How far do we need to go?
What a great question.
Put you on the spot, Ludacris.
How far have we come? I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that, you know, I'm an optimistic individual, but I never knew that during my lifetime I would see the Black president of the United States. So with that being said, I'm very thankful, and I feel like anything can happen. When you have a lot of people that are passionate about something and we all come out to, you know, to vote, or we come out to support certain, we come out to support certain, I guess you can say, when you come out to support certain, anything you're passionate about, whether it's the presidency, whether it's about, you know, certain, whether it's about laws, whether it's about anything you want to change in your neighborhood, like I'm doing stuff for the census. So when people come out in numbers and you have, it's strength in numbers. So, you know, I'm trying to choose my words carefully, so you have to excuse me, because I'm extremely passionate about that. But I would definitely say that I did not expect that in my lifetime, and now that I did, it opens up a whole new doors, and it just lets you know that anything is possible. You know what I mean? And if we come together, there's strength in numbers.
Absolutely. There's still a lot of work we need to do, though. There is a bill right now, a very controversial bill in Arizona, and a lot of opponents of the bill are saying that it will legalize racial profiling. It's saying local law enforcement can actually stop anybody and ask them to see their ID if they think for any reason that they might be an illegal immigrant. And that's just one example. But do you think it's a case of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or are we doing better than that?
I would wait until that law is passed before we had that real conversation. But I think the one thing about Crash that is so real to people is that we all have preconceived notions, whether we want to admit it or not. It's something that we all think about but don't necessarily want to talk about all the time. So that's why the movie, I feel like, was so successful, because whenever you capture something that's that real, that's within every human personality, then you can't help but to respect it at the end of the day. No matter what is being said, even if you disagree or you agree with it, that's one thing about Crash that makes it so real. Like, everybody has these preconceived notions. And the one thing that you take from the movie is that you have to kind of check yourself. It's a reality check. You have to sit there and say, you know, if I'm having these preconceived notions, or I'm so quick to judge certain individuals, I have to sit back and say, when I usually used to do this, let me try and just be fair and give individuals a chance, as opposed to being so quick to judge.
Something I think it also did, it really started the conversation, and that's a big step, I think. You know,
I think that's a lot of that's why I say a lot of music and some movies are they're similar in a lot of ways, because certain music sparks up a lot of different conversation, especially a lot of my music, and you know, certain movies spark up a lot of conversation, and I feel like that is the beginning of being able to have, like once you have that conversation, that is when change comes. That is when people are able to talk about and get to the root of what they feel the problem is. And that is where we start finding solutions from the problems.
Exactly. When you first were approached to be in Crash, was it just a film role to you, another film role, or was it something deeper, something that really affected you?
The crazy thing that I will say to this room that a lot of people don't know is that when I read that script, I can honestly say that I knew exactly what it was. I knew how powerful it was. And this is what I was gonna say. A lot of the actors that you know that are like very seasoned actors or actresses and that get a lot of money to do certain roles, everybody took a pay cut for that particular movie because it was an independent movie. The same way I talked about, when we first got started. So Sandra Bullock and all these different people were saying, I just want to be in this movie. After they read the script, they were saying, forget about what I usually get for a movie. This movie is powerful and I want to be a part of it. So, me being a starter and being a newcomer to the whole movie process and seeing all of these individuals come and say, I just want to be a part of this movie, made me realize that what I was thinking was true. That whether, if you love your craft and you're passionate about it, it's not all about a check. It's about making history. It's about being it's about doing stuff that you're passionate about.
Right, really
and
making a difference.
That's what everybody from Brendan Fraser to Lorenz Tate to Sandra Bullock, everybody you saw in that movie was about. They all took what they call union scale. And nobody got paid what they would usually get for that movie. And that's because they wanted to be a part of it. And people were calling Paul Haggis, the director and the producer, to say, I want to be in this movie, as opposed to, give me $10 million, otherwise I don't have to be in this movie. Like, everyone was gravitating towards it.
Yeah, I think it meant a lot to everybody in the film, and it was such an amazing ensemble cast. Now, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing you in the audience at the Oscars when it won Best Picture. Were you there?
Absolutely.
That's what I thought. Okay. What was it like to be a part of something so amazing, not just because it was such a great movie, but because of the message?
Man, anytime you got Al Pacino sitting next to you, it's like, you just like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
No, honestly speaking, people ask me who I'm fans of. I'm like, Al Pacino? Come on, man, that's Scarface. Like, yeah. Come on, man. Seriously. I'm sitting in the audience with all of these different people that I grew up watching movies on, and I'm just like, I don't have the words to explain how great it felt. Like, I was in a state of euphoria, 100%. So to answer your question, just being in that room with so many powerful minds and so many intelligent individuals and so many great creative artists and actors, it was phenomenal for me. It was like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but I have to make it a point to make sure I do that again. Absolutely.
And I'm sure you will be back there, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's not a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Maybe 5 times in a lifetime.
Exactly, because, me being Ludacris, of course there are certain perks with being an artist. You can go certain places and people don't trip on you about how many people you bring. Oscars, you got one motherfucker that can sit next to you. Like, there is no Ludacris, you get 5 tickets. No, you got one person, you better pick which person that is.
Right.
There is no extra anything, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, sorry to the children in the room, I apologize. But it's that real, like you gotta sit there and say, you gotta check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Chickadee check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Absolutely, I check myself. My ego isn't that out of control to where I can say, hell no, like I'm not gonna get kicked out the Oscars, come on. Come on now.
I hear you. So you are one of those celebrities who use your fame for good. And I want to hear more about the Ludacris Foundation. I'm sure these people do as well.
Yeah, the Ludacris Foundation, this is why I have this suit on, because when I left you guys, I don't know how long y'all was waiting for me to come back, but I just went to a foundation event, and it's tie that I'm actually wearing. We do an annual event with Ralph Lauren where we bring a lot of people into the store, and everything that they buy, like a certain amount of the proceeds, go towards the Ludacris Foundation. And this tie was a limited edition, specifically designed tie for Ralph Lauren. So we had a lot of people, and 100% of the proceeds for this particular tie went to the foundation. So we just went to an event where a lot of people were coming and purchasing the tie and purchasing a whole bunch of other clothes that were in, Polo Ralph Lauren. And my foundation is just geared towards helping out disadvantaged children and helping kids that will help themselves. And we really have principles of leadership, healthy education, and spirituality. And that's something that is extremely important, because with great power comes great responsibility. So I just want to use my celebrity with good, the same way you were talking about, and I want to lead by example. So you know, if anybody else is in my position with the same amount of leadership or the same amount of power, if they see me doing that, then maybe they might think about starting their own foundation and giving back. And that's what I'm all about, because I'm extremely blessed, and I just want to make sure I give that money back.
That's wonderful. It's contagious.
Yeah.
Hopefully people will see what you're doing and start doing other things just like that.
Thank you.
Now, you have a few restaurants, and I've heard amazing things about them. I've heard of a chicken lollipop.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, some good stuff over there at Straits?
It is, and you know, if anybody wants to come, and after this is the official after party, or, because we have 3 levels, but if you've never been to my restaurant, when I talk about passion, when I started and didn't know the words that I wanted to say, I'm so passionate about the city that I live in, Atlanta, Georgia, which is, you know, I attribute a lot of my success to this city. Because I was born in Illinois, but I moved here at a very early age. So when I claim this city and I talk about this city, I'm extremely passionate about it because of everything that goes on around here. I feel like it's like the Motown of the South. I love the people, you know what I mean? I love the Southern hospitality. I love everything about Atlanta, and this is why I consider it my home and my heart. So with that being said, I opened up a restaurant because I'm so passionate to offer to everybody. You know, I wanted to offer everybody something that is exotic, but at the same time sophisticated and sexy. So Straits Restaurant, that's where we're gonna go after this. It's 793 Juniper Street and 5th Avenue. It's close to the Fox Theater. So come in and celebrate with us. We're gonna eat good food, and we're gonna have some good drinks, and yes, that is my favorite spot.
And it's not Southern cooking though, it's cuisine of Singapore, is that right?
It's Singapore, but it has a Southern twist to it.
It does,
so, you
okay.
know, it satisfies both of those worlds. So, you know, like if anyone, it's a lot of people that don't want to try new things. This is a place where you have to be open, because I feel like life is all about trying new things. So, you know, with that being said, you have to come to the restaurant and try out some stuff. And it's really the same food, it's just cooked in, and it has different seasoning. So we have lobster, we got chicken, we got beef, but it's all different seasoning on it. And if you don't try it, then that's your fault. You know what I mean? You are limiting yourself in this world, because life is short. So I encourage everybody to come over to Straits, because that's where I'm going directly after. And come holler at me in person, because I'm going to be having a great ass time.
We all will be.
Yes.
And you're opening a new one in my neck of the woods in Santa Monica, California.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited about that.
But you know what? They're like, Straits wasn't an original concept. I partnered with somebody, and I'm a humble individual, so I have to say that. He has 2 different restaurants that are kind of similar, but they're not the same. One is called Sino, and one is called Straits. The one that's opening up in California is called Sino, so it's similar, but it's not Straits. But that's my business partner, Chris Yo. And the original Straits is located in San Francisco, California. Yeah.
Great. Do you have time for a couple of questions from the
I
audience?
have time.
Okay.
If they was waiting for any amount of time, I like to make up for it. So I got time for as many questions as y'all want to ask, man, straight up.
Very nice. Is there someone out there? Again, it's hard for me to see. I see one right here. Go ahead.
It's so hard because I still consider myself new to this entire process. I'm glad that, you know, people have been extremely receptive towards my acting, and I will continue doing it, because honestly, it was a talent that I didn't even know that I had until I got into certain movies. And I thank everybody for that, because you can't go and tell everybody you can act. You have to have other people tell you that you can act. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, it's like, I don't know what my next role will be until I read it, and that's just me. But I can tell you on a broader and more general perspective, this is a hard business. It's the same thing as music. It's an extremely hard business. I would say that a lot of people that you know has a lot to do with it, is in any business. If you can align yourself with certain individuals that have connections within Hollywood, you see so many people moving to Los Angeles, California, and having different jobs and working as waiters and waitresses, but what they really want to do is act. You know, there's an old saying that says if you want to be a part of the action, you have to go to where the action is. Atlanta is becoming one of those cities because they just made a certain tax, what is it, a tax bracket or a tax break, where they're starting to shoot a lot of movies here. So there's a tax break, but it still isn't the amount of, political connections that you could make if you were in Los Angeles. But while you're here, I mean, Tyler Perry is pretty much at the forefront of everything going on. As long as you know somebody, I would say continue doing what you do. If the internet is an extremely powerful tool, there are so many different avenues these days that people can explore their work, but everything is about competition, and it's about who wants it the most. So, if you have like 50 different individuals competing for the same thing. It's about who's gonna give up out of those 50 within a certain amount of time, and who's gonna stay in there. So I would just, my advice to you would be, just know exactly what it is that you wanna do, position yourself in front of the right people, and and don't give up, and stay strong.
Yeah, if you love it and you're passionate about it, just keep trying, and there's so many different realms, you can be involved in it.
It's a lot of different realms. Some people can't afford to keep up with it, but if you can afford to keep up with it, and I just mean, we all have a job, we have to pay bills, but then sometimes people have a dream and they want to continue fulfilling that dream. As long as you have a lane and you're not too stressed out about it and you can afford to do it, I would just keep doing it.
Is there someone else right here?
Did I answer your question? Yes, you did. Okay, I was just making sure. Michelle, my bad. Go ahead, man.
First of all, I want to say my son's first word was move, get out the way.
That's not a good thing. That might not be so good. As an artist, I make songs, but I can't always control who is able to listen to it. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing as a comedian. When you do adult entertainment, you don't know that kids are going to be able to listen to it. You're making it specifically for adults, but it's all good. How do we get involved with kids that work with the Ludacris Foundation? We now have a website, and my mother is the president of the Ludacris Foundation, so she kind of handles all the day-to-day. But if you want to know more information, in terms of what you just asked and more, just go to our website. It's theludacrisfoundation.org.
And what are you working on right now? I'm sure a million things.
I mean, when you say currently, that's exactly what we were doing. We have an annual foundation thing with Ralph Lauren, so that's what we're doing. The next event will be, I want to say, it's May now. We have something in July or June, which is like summertime. It's something with kids with summertime. I want to say it's like a summer, Christmas and summertime event.
And other projects? Films,
projects,
television, music, everything you do.
Yeah, like the Battle of the Sexes. My 7th album is in stores now. It's online. It's called Battle of the Sexes. There's been a lot of good success with that. The How Low single, the My Chick Bad, and we have more singles off that album. That's one thing. We're in negotiations to try and make this Fast and Furious 5 movie happen, so hopefully we can make that happen. Conjure Cognac, I don't know, for all the responsible drinkers in the house, at Straits Tonight, we offer this. This is what I'm extremely passionate about, because the same way I started in this industry when I came out with an independent album and I was never signed to a major deal, I kind of had to start here in Atlanta, Georgia, and continue to build. Well, I went to France, I went to Cognac, France, and actually helped hand blend with another business partner that's been in the spirits industry for over 3 generations. Their family's been in there. So we came up with a cognac that, for anybody who drinks or has drunk dark liquor ever in their life, this is a cognac where you mix different grades of cognac. If you know about wine, you know that certain wines and certain grapes, if you keep them over time, they're more expensive, or they taste smoother than other wines. It's the same. It's kind of the same thing with cognac. If you let it sit in aged barrels, it becomes a more expensive and a smoother cognac. So what Conjure Cognac is a step above Hennessy, Remy, and all them other cognacs out there right now. It's basically 3 different cognacs mixed to one. It's like XO, VSOP, and a VS all mixed in one bottle. And it's available in all the liquor stores here in Georgia, Florida, and those are the 2 test markets that we started out in. And within about 4 months, we've expanded to about 5 different more states. So it's extremely successful so far. And I encourage y'all, if you haven't, had a chance to take a sip of it, either come to Straight Tonight and drink some, or go to your local liquor store and ask for some Conjure Cognac if you're a responsible and over 21 drinker.
That's the key right there.
But you asked me what was going on, that's what's current right now.
Always
that is what I'm passionate about, absolutely.
Okay, so you started rapping, I read it, when you were 9 years old, and you're a father. Do you want to talk a little bit about parents who they should support their children if they find that at a very young age that they want to be a singer or an actor or a writer or whatever it is? Do you support them or tell them, no, you're going to be a doctor?
She's asking the good questions. Right? I get a lot of people ask me some bogus ass questions. You're asking good questions.
Thank you.
Anytime you make me, you challenge me and actually make me think, is a good question. To answer that question, yes, I started when I was 9 years old. My first song, I had to lie and rhyme with 10 because I didn't know what to rhyme with. My first song was I'm cool, I'm bad, I might be 10, but I can't survive without my girlfriend. So I had to rhyme with girlfriend. So I lied and said I was 10 when I was actually 9. So then when I turned 10, I was able to sing that song with the utmost confidence. But to answer your question, yes, I have a daughter, and it goes into what my man right here was saying with his son being here. I think it's the same category as a lot of these individuals. Like Crash is the perfect example. I'm in an entertainment field where I'm an entertainer. So I make music, and my album, each one of my albums has a parental advisory sticker on there. Everybody in this movie that you watch, there are more curse words in any album that I've ever recorded in my entire life. But a lot of people want to be more receptive towards movies and not criticize movies as much as they want to criticize, you know, say for instance, my music. So with that being said, I would rather my daughter hear certain things from me and for me to explain those things to her than for her to hear that from any kind of outside source. And the same way that you hear comedians and you hear actors saying certain words on television is the same way I may say certain words, you know, to get a reaction or to make you understand a certain kind of feeling or emotion in my music. So I'll make sure I explain this stuff to my daughter at all costs and at all times. And there is an adult audience and there is a kid audience. And once it's time for her to be a part of that adult audience, she will completely understand, because I will have given her as much game and as much information as she possibly needs to know, coming from me, as opposed to coming from anybody else. So yes, I am extremely happy about that and being a proud parent. And my daughter's 8 years old. So with that being said, I just saw her today, and I mean that's my best friend in the world, and I take it very seriously, parenting, extremely.
If your daughter came to you and said, "Dad, I want to be a circus performer, or I want to be a garbage collector," what would you say to her?
I would absolutely, this is what I would do. I would say, because when you're kids, it's the same way when all of us, any of us in life were kids, and we may have said we wanted to be something, and then we realized that we changed our damn minds like 3 months later after we tried it out. Or some people may have stuck with that dream. If she comes to me and says she wants to be something in particular, I will test her out. Luckily, and I'm blessed enough to have enough money to where I can put her through a damn crash course and let her damn near like realize what it is that she's saying she wants to be, and make her realize that, you know, this is exactly how this goes. This is how much money this person makes. If you love it, you continue doing it. If you don't, you know, as human beings, we all change our minds, whether it's we're in college and we want to change our major, whether we feel like we want to do something as kids and then we change our minds eventually later. You know, I always wanted to be an airline pilot. I was so fascinated with space, or I wanted to work with NASA, but that's when I was a kid. So, you know, it is what it is. So if she came to me and asked me that stuff, I would say, okay. So then I would take her basically through a crash course and make her experience it for herself.
Send her to clown college.
I would do all of that.
Do we have another question?
I was stuck on that question. Somebody asked me that for the first time a long time ago when we just did the movie. And I was trying to distinguish the difference. That is the difference between acting and being Ludacris. That is the answer to your damn question. And she just basically asked the question of, you know, were my personal thoughts and feelings the same way as my character in the movie. I was playing a character. So no, I don't feel like rappers are all mumbling idiots. Of course, I'm one myself. Some of them are, I will say that, absolutely. But I don't feel the same way that character in the movie did.
There are people who feel that way, and I want to know what your perspective is on, like, what is hip-hop's role in society, and how is that not true, and, like, what are your feelings about it?
And that's a good question. I would say that, you know, in any field, if anybody is in any profession, you can't speak for everybody in your profession. You can only speak for yourself and what you're trying to do in your profession. You know, I have to relate that to what the hell they're doing. Otherwise, they'll try and pick on rap music and shit. But when I say that, it makes me realize that what I try to do in rap music, as opposed to what other people are trying to do, I'll try to make it a point for you to understand every single word that I'm saying, so that I'm not a mumbling idiot. Or, you know, at the same time, I try to continue to stimulate individuals' minds. I try to reinvent myself. Enable for me to get to album number 7, it's a blessing all within itself. So it becomes more and more challenging each and every album, and I take that challenge on, like just head on. So I feel extremely passionate about what I do. I love music more than anything in the world. So hopefully that answers your question.
Let's take one more, and then I think we're ready to go to straights, yeah? Right here.
I started off on the radio, but my whole plan was to when I was like 17 years old, I had a plan in my head. I was like, I'm gonna go to this radio station, and I'm going to make everybody at the radio station think that I actually want to work at the radio station. But my main plan is to give music to all the producers and all the artists that come to the radio station. So when you say I've been rapping since I was 9, you can only imagine by the time I was 17, I was like, this was well thought out by this time.
Right.
Yeah, I had a plan. So when I went to the radio station, the first person I worked for was Ryan Cameron, and a lot of you guys hear him, you know, on V103. And he used to work in the morning, and so I worked as an intern, and I started working for free. And you know, like my very first car was a Plymouth Reliant with a messed up ass wax job.
Mine was a Plymouth Valiant, I kid you not.
Yeah,
so cheers.
So we have something in common.
Yeah.
So I had a Plymouth Reliant, so I was broke as a joke. So, you know, but I started with that, and then I got like a Honda XL with a damn stick shift that didn't even have no numbers on it. It was just a wooden ball on that thing. And then from there, I graduated to a Honda Accord. This is all me working at the radio station. Then from the Honda Accord, I got my dream car at the time, which was the Acura Legend. And so with that being said, I had a tape deck, and I was always trying to convince Ryan Cameron, because I had developed a relationship with him, and I did, you know, he was one of the people that I felt like if he knew my real plans of trying to become, you know, a rapper in the industry, he wasn't gonna fault me for that. And yeah, my tape deck did actually mess up, but that's easy to replace. But my Acura Legend, I still have. It has over like 225,000 miles on it. And I drive that car more than anything, till this day. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people that has to drive the most expensive car, and like, you know, that's not me.
Gets you from point A to point B, right? Keeps you grounded?
Exactly.
Can you say one more thing about the film? What did it mean to you?
But hold on one second. What was the other part of your question was?
If you could go back and talk to the 20-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
What would you tell that young Ludacris?
I got you. If I could go back to the 20-year-old Ludacris, I wouldn't tell him a damn thing, man, because everything that I've gone through, as everyone knows, all the adversity, all of the negative things, the positive things have made me the person sitting in front of all of you today. So I wouldn't tell him shit. I wouldn't tell him nothing. It's made me a stronger person.
It's a learning experience.
Okay, what do you want to know about the film? I'm sorry.
We just want 1 or 2 more comments about the film. What did it mean to your life?
What did it mean to my life? Like I said, I was early on, and I got to be around Sandra Bullock. Lorenz Tate is like one of my best friends till this day, because I was able to work with him. And we're both Virgos, you know, both of our birthdays are in September. The movie meant a lot to me just because of course it catapulted my career to a whole nother level. And you know, I wasn't expecting that at all. From me going from Too Fast, Too Furious to Crash, this is my second movie, so to be in a room, like you said, in the Oscars and actually win the best Oscar. And we actually won for Best Ensemble for SAG Awards and the Critics' Choice Awards. It was unreal to me. Like I was in amazement. And I was the youngest person. And the funny thing is, I have a lot of great stories, but.
Tell us one, or 12.
You gotta turn your camera off for this story. You know what I mean?